Hello, hello, my beloved waking gods and goddesses. Maria West here. Welcome to Love, Truth, and Beauty. This is episode 300, what is it, 85? And my 14th installment to my video series, Conversations with Women on Love, Truth, and Beauty. And I have with me my beautiful friend, Tala Linden. Tala, hi, sweetheart.
Hey
Hi, darling.
Maria, lovely to
Oh,
be on with you. Great to finally chat one-on-one
and
in person.
I know, I know. I
Yeah,
mean, we have been talking about this and getting to know each other, and it's been truly, truly fun. So I am honored that you're here. And your story of awakening is very intense. It's extremely
indeed.
intense. And we've been comparing notes. And so let's hear it straight from you about your childhood, about your intuitive hits, about your interface with the unseen and the seen. Um,
Of course. Yeah, so I feel like I came into this world with a certain level of awakening already. There were just certain things I inherently knew, and I was aware of the control structures, a lot of the stuff, people call the first veil. So
yes.
yeah, knowing that the government was deceiving us, knowing that there were, evil agendas at hand, knowing that there was mind control and programming, and not to be able to trust certain industries such as corporations and the medical industry. And, due to the experiences I had, my family life, all of these things, I guess, contributed to that awareness.
Yes.
But I also just always had this inner knowing. And even as a little girl, I remember just feeling like this life I knew was going to be really big and a really important time, not just for me as an individual, but for the
Mhm.
collective, and that
Wow.
we were coming in now for something really, really integral, like very different to maybe other experiences my soul had had, even though they all kind of accumulated to this point.
Wow.
So there was always that knowing from a little girl, and an awareness of that. And then I was always very open. I had a very, yeah, I guess you could say just open imagination. I was always able to just close my eyes and go into other worlds and remote view and
Whoa.
dreams and have this intuition. I I'm not sure if my upbringing may have contributed to that, because I was
Hmm.
raised by a natural therapist, so I got a very healthy, organic upbringing in terms of not having pharmaceutical intervention, being able to eat
Wonderful.
good food, all that kind of stuff. I think my mom's a naturopath, so she had this whole idea about enriching her child with vitamins and minerals. So I was very fortunate in that way to come in with that, that family structure, but it wasn't without its challenges as well. Like my father, who was an amazing individual, an occultist, astrologer, very interesting man, but
Really?
yeah, he had his problems with, drugs and alcohol, and, he became estranged with us when I was 4. So yeah, I was with my mother basically. And, yeah, as a little girl, when I was about 1, my mother found out that a daughter from 18 years prior that she had when she was 17 was, she was forcibly adopted, because back then in the late 60s in Australia, they were doing a lot of that. We had the stolen generation and all that type of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they get unmarried young mothers and steal their babies, basically.
Oh
And this
my
was connected
goodness.
to organized networks and cults, basically. So my mum was unaware of this. She just had a child stolen when she was 17. And when I was 1, the police knocked on our door, and I found out, or she found out about my sister, and that she'd been raised in a trauma-based mind control cult, basically, and had just escaped. So
Whoa.
we had this
Holy moly.
overarching, energy of knowing that there was, I guess, a dark side out there, very much
Hmm.
so. And after that, when we reunited with my sister, then, we started to get issues with people trying to kill us and stuff like that. We had an assassination attempt when I was about 1.5, and my mum was about to get in the car and drive down this big mountain that we lived on. And she realized just as she came out of the road that brakes had been cut by
Oh my God.
organizational group. So we always
Wow.
had that, I guess, overarching energy or awareness of these darker forces in a sense. And
Yes.
Victor subsequently became a whistleblower, and that didn't end very well for her. So yeah, that I think also opened my perception to all of that in a sense. I always knew that was an element of how society is structured in terms of corruption and and the work you do with, you know, survivors and stuff like that, that this is a very real thing, and all the different levels of mind control and trauma.
It's quite systemic, isn't it?
It is. It's very systemic, yeah, and multi-leveled.
Organized, and they're all in cahoots, and yet they don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. I saw a great video by Mark Pazio the other day, and he was talking about, you know, how we blame one faction or another faction, but they're all just branches of the same rotten tree. You know, whether it's these guys, you know, the Knights of Malta or the Jesuits or the, you know, they're all interconnected. They're just different, like the Catholic Church, or, you know, so that side was hard, but I also grew up with a very wholesome childhood. I wasn't exposed to that type of thing. I was very protected because of what happened. So I was able to have a very good childhood in a sense, apart from being abandoned by my dad and having all that stuff with the cult. I was able to live really well. And we lived out in the country. We moved away because we needed to get away from this crazy cult. So we ended up living in a beautiful place, and I had so much freedom, and I'm really grateful for that, because a lot of children now don't get that opportunity to, you know, just go outside all day and come back when it gets dark and ride your bike. I ended up getting an old horse. I used to ride my horse around. And
wow, how cool is that?
climb trees and, you know, just be in the garden and connect with nature and just have that, beautiful, like, connected childhood. So that was great. And then, as I got older, I became more aware of my psychic senses and began having more kind of interface experiences, I guess, with different paranormal phenomena, whether it was being aware of different spirits that were around in different areas, being able to tune into that, and having dreams of deceased people coming to me and giving me messages for their family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then other weird multidimensional kind of paranormal phenomena that I started seeing and having very strange experiences with, where I'd kind of like orbs and stuff like that, you know.
Orbs.
And,
the light ball beings. That's what I call them. The light beings, the orbs. The
orbs. Yeah, and it's kind of like this conscious plasma energy.
Absolutely conscious.
Yeah. So I've always felt a connection with them, and wherever I'd go, they seemed to be there. They'd be above my house. If I'm driving in my car, I'd see one, you know, as I drove along. But also there was the other side of that, which was more kind of, I guess you could say, not so benevolent phenomena as well. It's kind of like, if you're a beacon for that stuff, you get all of it.
You get all of it. You get all of it. And a lot of them are not, you know, they're not so friendly.
Exactly.
They want to do their thing, and some of them don't want to bother you, whereas some of them will absolutely fuck with you.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Because it's fun.
And energy harvesting, astral kind of warfare, all that kind of stuff. I started to experience from a very early age, having out-of-body experiences where I'd be lifted up, you know, out of my body while I was asleep, and I'd wake up conscious or lucid, and I'd be above my house looking down aerially at everything and being drawn up into something and having to fight to come back into my body. And lots of different weird experiences like that, waking up on a table with weird beings around me, you know, just having fights with these weird draconian reptilians. It's pretty colorful.
Did you I've had those experiences as well, and I considered them to be part of the play of reality. Only because I didn't have a context that they were harmful necessarily. Like, I don't remember them hurting me. It was more sort of a curiosity, and every now and again I have memories of romping around at the facility, whether it was on a ship. Sometimes it was on a ship, sometimes it wasn't. It was just some facility where there were different rooms and different other kids, you know. So I had my perception was not tainted by anything. not by television. And, you know, so in some sci-fi things, you know, I don't really remember anything similar. So
Yeah.
I think there's a certain purity to these experiences, and whether they're delusional or not, I don't think is really, I don't think that's the point. I think it's the truth in the direct experience of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Often there can be a lot of validation. Some of these experiences I've had with others as well. So we've all been together. I've been with my friend or even with my mom, and we've seen something together. So there's always that opportunity
Yes.
to reflect as well and go,
Yes, my mom and I
"Oh, what I
too.
saw."
Wow.
Very real. Yeah, a few years ago, I was at my mom's place with my best friend, and we were outside just hanging out, washing at dusk. And my friend said to me, "I wonder if we'll see anything paranormal," because her and I used to see a lot of things. And the next thing you know, this big multi-dimensional looking plasma rainbow orb thing just starts coming down into the back garden. And it was probably about
Whoa.
100 meters, 50 meters from where we were. And my
Cool.
mum was there and she just started freaking out. She's like, "Tell them to go away. I don't want them to land." And I think because she was so afraid, they actually pulled back. And like you said, it was just some kind of curiosity or something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
It didn't feel threatening. I've had other things that were, but that particular experience, it was, yeah, it was quite a peaceful experience for me. It was almost like a familiarity. Like I remember seeing something like that when I was a little girl. It flew over in broad daylight and I just waved at it. I was just like,
Yeah.
"Hey."
Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
Hey
Are you
guys.
coming?
Yeah, it just shows that consciousness, isn't just limited to this human form, that,
Yes. Yes.
ubiquitous, many forms. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Mm,
I love it.
yeah,
it
yeah.
it's good to not be like poo-poo these experiences or to deny them. Although
Mm,
I don't know if this happened to you, but I know that for me there was a period where I just didn't want to talk about it. Not because I
yeah,
was afraid, just because of the potential ridicule, and also the potential to you know, it's like I wanted it for myself. I
yes,
didn't want to
yes.
share
Very
it.
personal. Yeah,
I mean,
understandable.
that's weird, but that's how I felt about it.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I went through different phases where it was very internal for me, and other phases where it became quite like adamant that I had to get it out there.
Hmm.
There was this experience I had where I was studying art at university and I was taking photos of clouds, and by accident I get this photo of this kind of, I guess you could say it was illuminated disc in both the photos. And I didn't even see it when I took the photo, but there's two different angles in these two different shots that I've taken. And then
Wow.
from then on, I just kept receiving photos, some of them by accident. And then I started seeing things and I'd get out my tripod and my SLR and start taking photos. And I compiled this big photo album of all these different strange anomalies. And I went through this phase in my early 20s where I was just going around showing people at parties, "Hey, look at this.
Whoa,
What do you think
that's
it is?"
cool. That's cool. And
And not making any
what were their
assumptions.
responses? What were their
Uh,
responses?
it was mixed. Some people were really almost awakened by it. Like it triggered something in them where it's like what they said about when Christopher Columbus came to America, or South America, and they couldn't see the ship, the native people, because they've never seen a sailing ship before. So they didn't have that point of context,
Yes,
but
yes.
shamans could see the ship and they had to tell the people, "This is a ship, this is a sailing ship, this is what it's like." And then they had that construct. And so I think it opened a lot of people to start seeing things themselves and just opening their perception in general. Yeah, that was a lot of the response I got. Yeah, some people didn't take it so well as well. So hence why, yeah, sometimes you feel like you need to shut down and be aware of who you're talking to, because
Yeah,
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 there's different
yeah.
levels of awareness. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Because there are people that would retaliate, that would try to shut you down, that would try to
Oh,
stop
of
you
course. Yeah.
from breathing, for instance, you know, because you scare them.
Mm,
You know, whatever perspective that you're bringing up is so frightening to them or so contrary to their perception, their awareness, their ability to perceive reality, for instance,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that was just one level of the awakening process for me. And from that process, I also had to learn how to contain and protect my own energy field because of these
Yes.
experiences. Like, you don't
Yes.
always want to be open to all this stuff. It can be very disturbing in a sense as well. So you need to learn how to, contain your energy. And that's where I came into practices like yoga and, pranayama, meditation,
Mhm.
other healing modalities, grounding with the nature, just becoming more
Yes.
strong in the field. So these things can't interfere in a
Yes.
unloving way, in a
Yeah.
sense.
That
Yeah.
that I would have to say that was an important part of my journey, is to learn certain skills. So I know we've had these conversations of being attracted to certain healing modalities, uh, breath work, the various forms of kinesiology, touch for health, all these different things, body modalities, Ayurveda, the whole 9 yards, Chinese medicine, and to Qigong, to understand yoga, to understand the relationship between breath and body, breath, body, pain, breath, body, pain, trauma, breath, body, pain, trauma, healing, other realities, that are occurring concurrently. I mean, it was just mind blowing for me to fathom that here are all these different modalities, and it seems to me they are separated for a good reason. Um,
Yes.
like when I was learning martial arts, um, getting exposed to Ayurveda, getting exposed to the chakra system, getting exposed to the importance in the observation that of the physical body symptoms, behavior, even speech, demeanor, to indicate things, to be able to track. And I found it all fascinating. It's like, oh, they all belong together. And it's interesting how these modalities are often set off against each other.
Exactly.
Or people try to invalidate one for the other or whatever. I take it all in. I was like, nah, give it to me.
Oh,
I want to know how it all works. And they're not counter to one another. They actually contribute to the greater whole.
yeah, they're complementary. And I
Mhm.
love that we've done very similar things in terms of our background. We both
Yeah,
studied the kinesiology and yogic breathwork stuff, qigong,
yeah.
yeah, a little bit of martial arts. I love all this stuff. I feel it complements each other so well. Even the Ayurveda, I was really fortunate to go to India a few different times and study with an Ayurvedic doctor over there without
Wow,
really
cool.
even enrolling. It was just very synchronistic. I
Hmm.
ended up in Rishikesh and I was there to study yoga, and I ended up meeting a sadhu, and I had a stomach ache, and he said, oh, you feel sick, I'll take you to Dr. Yoginder. And he took me to this doctor, and this doctor gave me this amazing potion. And he's like, yeah, finish the problem, 20 minutes, no problem. And it seriously did. And I went back to him the next day and I thanked him, and we started talking about herbalism because that was his main modality in terms of Ayurveda. And because I was raised by a herbalist and it always been a passion of mine, we had a lot of resonance. And he said to me, come back tomorrow with a pen and paper and learn if you want. He's
Oh,
like, so many
wow,
young
how cool.
people, yeah, so many young Indian people don't want to know this anymore. They want to know allopathic Western medicine, and you're interested. So just come back. And he had like adopted kind of grandchildren, and he just asked me to help them with their language, with English and learning and stuff like that. And I cook with
Wonderful.
adopted family every night and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a really beautiful experience to spend that time. We'd ride around on the scooter and find Ayurvedic herbs and take them back and process them in different ways, make, basmas in clay pots.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow.
And yeah, it was fantastic. So yeah,
That's wonderful. What a
so valuable.
rich experience. How long were you there for
In
this?
total, I've been to India 4 times. the first time I was there, I think I was there for 5 months. And then the next time I went for 6 months, and then I went to Nepal for 5 months, and then I went back for another month. And then 2 other times I've been there for a month. So yeah, I definitely got the immersion. I think the first time I went to India, it was a big eye opener. I was only in my 20s.
Intense. That's the
never been
one
out of
word for
Australia.
it.
Went straight into Delhi, the most busy city in the world. It's just insane. And I just had this incredible experience. I ended up meeting some Naga Babas, some sadhus, and having a lot of resonance. They were like my brothers. And I was with my partner at the time, and him and I paired up with these 2 sadhus, and they ended up taking us all around India. We went down to Kolkata, we went down to Banaras, Varanasi.
Oh, nice, beautiful.
And ended up staying in the headquarters for Naga Babas in Varanasi on Hanuman Ghat, with all these sadhus. I was the only woman there. It was a special experience.
Tell the viewers what a sadhu is.
Yeah,
because they don't know.
From the Shaivite or Shiva tradition. It's a very ancient Vedic tradition. But yeah, they're very interesting people. They're very much into their tapas, their austerity. They don't have a lot of physical belongings. They usually have a blanket, a bowl. Some of them had mobile phones. And a chillum, which is very much part of Shivite culture, which is the charas and the smoking for Shiva and stuff like that. But like the guy that I was with, Amrit Gri, he would go up into the Himalayas, and he was only about 22 at the time. He'd sit in his little loincloth and sit in the snow and meditate for weeks on end. And people in the local village would come and bring him a bowl of rice and dal or something like that. And the rest of the time he'd just fast and sit in the snow and do his meditation. And yeah, really incredible.
It's just amazing. Yes, I've witnessed the same thing and I would just marvel. But don't you think that these beings, that what they're doing, it feels to me, this was my impression, I don't know if it's true, that they were sitting in between, like veiled in between the spirit world, I don't know if it's the astral or whatever, some higher dimension, and the physical plane. Because I swear, every time I came upon a sadhu, I would see this sort of, the only way, it was like this, like they were coming in and out of physicality. I can't explain it. I can't explain it.
I get what you mean. There was this multi-reality.
And I had this fantasy of wanting to ask one. I never did it because I felt it would be disrespectful to be back to back and endeavor to do some meditation, or just to have a good bit of time just feeling into him. I never did it, but I was too terrified, quite frankly, to even broach the topic. But yeah, I would just ponder that and go, would I disappear too? Would I be able to come in and out of phase? That's what it was.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I met this Agori Baba in Varanasi on the Ghats, where the burning Ghats are. And he was one of the Black Tantra Babas. And he had this fire, and he had his skull, the human skull that they eat out of. He had all these dogs. He was like a dog sadhu. And he was telling myself and a few others these stories about what was going on a multidimensional level in terms of the Earth and the galactic history. It was very interesting what he was saying. And as he was saying it, he was literally shape-shifting. His face would change into all these different characters as he told his story. It was just, it was mind-bending. It was incredible. Yeah. And there was another one that I met, and he was an older man, and he was on the banks of the Ganges in Haridwar, and he would feed all the poor every single day. And he never left the banks of the Ganges, yet he'd have this giant pot of food, and he'd just be pulling food out and feeding everyone until they were full. And no one ever saw him go shopping. He didn't have money.
Isn't it amazing? It's amazing. Okay. I have recounted these. People don't believe me. They don't believe me. They think I, what have you been smoking? It's like, well, I don't smoke. So, I don't have that. I don't have that
Yeah.
going on. But yes, what you described, yeah, it's like this abundance, almost like, you know, the sort of proverbial manna from heaven. It's just materializing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure within the capacity of our consciousness, we all have this ability. We've just been
Yes. Yeah.
suppressed in multitude of ways in this modern society. And people like this are remnants of, you know, what humanity once had. And I believe we can get back to, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am like banking on that. I would like to return to that purity, to that you know, I think that is the inherent magic, but with all the static and all the mind control, you know, I think we've been like kind of blocked off.
Yeah, we've been pressed up against so much. There's
Yeah.
just so much diversity and toxicity, and you know, like look at all
Hmm.
the endocrine disruptors that are out there in
Yes.
terms of messing with our nervous system and our hormones and all this stuff. You know, it's just mind-boggling that we're even still standing with some of the things that
Yes.
people are exposed to. So
Yes, very
yeah,
much so. Yeah.
there's still a lot of healing to be done for all of us, I think. But I also have had a lot of confirmation through, I guess, my abilities to see things in terms of vivid visions and dreams about the actual collective process of where we're going, and confirmation that things, even though they're very challenging and I feel we're being tested greatly in this time, there's something greater going on a higher level in terms of how we all are related to that, and how we all play a part of, you know, realigning our own energy field to put that into the grids of the planet, and actually shift the collective energy into a higher frequency, and heal a lot of this kind of darkness that's there. And
Yes.
yeah, it's a huge purging process to do that. But yeah, I've had some really incredible dreams and confirmations about that. Especially the last few years, since what
Yes.
with 2020, and you know, the whole Rona thing and everything, the pressure that they put on humanity at that time. You know, it was a very dark period, but I
Mhm.
was shown things in terms of you know, how we as individuals can, you know, seal off that grid, that rift to the abyss, in a sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So tell me about your vision for this. I'm very curious because, you know, I feel like that time 2020, 2021, 2022, and
mhm,
even last year and up to now, you know, there's a lot of, I feel like we have a collective of trauma-based mind control that
classically,
is, it's very, very active, and it is expressing in a very polarized way. Um, and I know for myself, I have to do a lot of work to keep my shit straight,
mhm,
and to not succumb to the distraction of feeling the despair of the intense polarization that I witness
yes,
between those who vaxxed and those who did not. It's
mm,
still ongoing.
it
And
is,
it seems like the consensus reality is that both camps wish each other death and destruction. And for
mm,
myself, I just am like, I'm sickened by that. I am so sickened. I don't, I mean, people can have their opinions, they can have their beliefs, whatever they can do or do not. I don't care. But I'm not one of those people that wishes death and destruction to anybody, even if I really don't agree with them and I think they're the most heinous human beings. I won't wish them ill. You know, I
oh,
just am not like that. So I know for myself, I do a lot of work in terms of keeping my heart pure so that it doesn't, you know, because every single day I hear the most horrific stories of human behavior. And there are just some days where I'm just like, I am praying for a comet to come hit
mhm,
the planet and take us all out and hit reset. And then I have to like backtrack and go, oh, really? I didn't, sorry, didn't mean it. didn't mean
Yeah,
it.
come back to center.
But
Yeah.
it's
I
just
feel
that,
you.
yeah,
I feel the exact same way, and yeah, it takes a lot of inner work, and also that realization that a lot of these perpetrators of this darkness and this evil, they're mind controlled to a point that's, yeah, it's really sad. Like, we almost have to have some form of compassion for them because of how these intergenerational mind control programs work, that a
yes,
lot of these people
yes,
probably perpetrating were once victims themselves, and that they were
yes,
probably abused as children and went through lots of heinous, horrible stuff, and then they're continuing on, passing on the baton. And because of that compartmentalization that's happening and the disassociation, people don't even realize half the time they're perpetrating such things. They can
yeah,
be in so many different altered states in
yes,
terms of that split. So yeah, it takes a lot of inner work to keep stable in terms of, knowing all this stuff and continuing on with our higher path and our higher purpose, and,
yeah,
giving that love to ourselves and others, even though all of that is going on, especially when
yeah,
you're aware of that, because we
yes,
can't be consumed by the hate and the fear that others are, because, that's the Watigo, that mind virus that's there. Yeah,
yes, yes,
needs to be healed. And more of us step up and begin to do that. And that all comes back to, your Kriya Yogi, going back to self-study, Swadhyaya, you're going back to ourselves, knowing ourselves,
yeah,
and having that connection also with the divine energies. And through that, we can continue,
yeah, yeah,
aligning ourselves with that higher force instead of
yeah, yeah.
being pulled into all these different things that are going on.
Yes,
Yeah.
taking the middle
Mhm.
road, and not, left hand, right hand paths, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I, and I'm finding that there is such an upticking that is being expressed as this personalized drama or personalized attack upon you
Mhm.
from, I mean, just out of the blue, just this nonsense bullshit.
Yeah.
However it materializes, whether it's some kind of social media drama, or whether it's drama with your car, drama
Yeah.
with another vehicle, that kind of thing, these scuffles in public places where
Mhm.
it's just, whoa, just this, it's a byproduct, a result of zero shadow work.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
I find that because I do shadow work, for whatever reason, um, and I seem to magnetize a lot of situations that are going to require some light bearing.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if you find yourself in those positions.
Very
And it's
much
a
so. Yeah.
position of, it's a huge responsibility. And I know Ice and Nash, it's like, why is this happening? It's like this magnet to setting things straight, setting things right.
Yeah. I
Um,
can relate. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
External drama,
yeah,
projections, and all that type of stuff going on, and yeah, like external chaos, and we have to still find our center
yes,
amongst all of that. Yeah, like going back to my journey, like I didn't have a lot of trauma as a child, but through my 20s, I just went through so much trauma. It was just one thing after the other, and it was all externalized stuff. I had
mm-hmm.
this boyfriend that was like a handler that was always trying to kill me, that I couldn't leave him because he threatened to kill my family. And I
Wow.
ended up having my father murdered, my sister died tragically, and then all this drama around her experience come up in the media and everything like that. I was in earthquakes. It was just I was nearly murdered again by another boyfriend. I just had all this just
Mm-hmm.
crazy stuff going on, and that was around my Saturn return, and I just feel like I had to be tested in those ways
Yes,
to be forged in a sense. And then the last few years since then, I've had to learn how to release that trauma from my body somatically, and how to
mm-hmm.
realign my nervous system and regulate, and all those things that I think I needed to go through those experiences so I could kind of learn how to do it myself, and then I can
Yes,
actually assist others and bring that knowledge
yes.
to the table.
What
same with you, you know, we've both been through a lot.
what
Yeah.
was what were the modalities that were most effective for you?
Yeah, so I definitely say yoga and qigong. So the breath and the movement, and I do pranayama every day at the moment, and that's so good. You know, I absolutely love just doing work. But also, yeah, kinesiology has been huge. I had a dream one night before I did it that told me you need to do kinesiology, and I just woke up thinking, wow, okay. It was a very clear message. And yeah, I fortunately found a great teacher with Touch for Health during the lockdowns when I was ostracized from society because of all the bullshit that was going on here.
Yeah.
And this teacher wasn't into all that. So she was allowing to teach like a small handful of us. And yeah, I was able to do Touch for Health. And then after that, I did kinetogenics, which is another form of kinesiology by Philip Rafferty. And that's very energy-based, chakra-based, light body-based. And being able to have all those balances done on me and then be able to do it for others, it's just so powerful. It's just endless what to do with it.
Really
and
powerful.
I love it.
Yeah.
I also studied transpersonal art therapy, which was really amazing in terms of a holistic approach to psychology and yeah, understanding the psyche deeper. And yeah, that covered a lot of things like symbolism, myth, you know, the hero's journey, you know, Jungian stuff and all that great stuff, you know. So they were wonderful foundations to have for my own shadow work and everything like that. It's an ongoing process, you know.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is not a one and done, kids. People think,
No.
but you have to do it all the time. But you have to, it's like, well, I mean, do you
Yep.
take a shower once in your life? Give me a
Exactly.
break, you know? It's
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
maintenance.
Yeah,
It really is, it's spiritual immunity, energy
exactly.
immunity. You know, this is maintenance.
Mhm.
Daily
Yeah.
maintenance. It's part of self-care.
Yeah, I agree. And there's so many layers, you know, we work through one layer of something and then we go deeper and something else might happen that triggers something else that we need to work through. And that's ongoing, but it's that spiritual maturity that enables us to keep going with that. And yeah, not project, not have a crisis breakdown and blame others and go into the fear mode that a lot of society is programmed to do, you know, the victimizer, you know, fear mode thing that we saw all through the last few years with the Rona and everything. It was just insane, you know. The projection, control,
Wow. Cool. Cool.
Mm.
Do you find that your love relationships reflect your level of shadow work?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely that. I think relationships can be the biggest mirrors and triggers for different things. Yeah, especially I think when there's a lot of resonance and you meet someone that you have a big connection with, like it's even more deeper you end up going and you have to see each other's shadow and meet in the middle. In some of the other events I spoke about earlier, I feel like there was some kind of targeting going on as well. It wasn't necessarily a trigger fest. It was more that person was a psychopath.
Yes. Oh,
and the old empath psychopath kind of
there
dynamic.
is that. And that's part of the trap of being an empath is that the psychopath, the narcissist, sociopath, psychopath requires the empath. And I've magnetized a few of those. The last one was probably the worst, you know. I mean, you talk about the realization, you know, at in your 50s where you're like, oh fuck me, I am my psycho mother. Wow. Like, how did that happen? And you know, you learn about your triggers. You learn about your triggers. What are the like for me, the biggest trigger? Children. If a child is involved, I will bend over backwards. I will give you all my money. I will invite you to my house for free and I will take care of everything. You know, that's kind of the, you know, and even the drama with my car. The grifter portrayed himself to be the honest family man. and I fell for it. So, you know, these are the things that I look at. I'm going, oh. So I start hearing that and I'm going, there's a siren that's going off in my head. It's like, pay attention,
Yeah.
pay attention. You know, it's
But
very,
it
very
feels like,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
There can be certain, you know, soft spots that we can have that can be our vulnerabilities. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's very important if you are naturally a very sensitive, empathic person, that you need to have your boundaries very clearly kind of
Yes.
marked out, and
Yes.
have a lot of discernment in terms of interactions with others, and not overgive, and like only give what you can give because you want to, not
Yes.
overgive, people please and all of this, which is a
Yeah.
very trait of people that have that, you know, very loving kind of empathy. They want to people please, they want to do everything for everyone, and then you
Yeah.
just get taken for a ride, and yeah, that can
Yeah.
be very,
It's
very
rude.
yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, it's very terrible. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it helps to have a little bit of hardness about yourself as well. And you know,
Yeah,
these
I'm
hard,
learning.
yeah, they teach you that, don't they? Yeah, yeah,
Still
yeah,
learning.
yeah. Me
It's kind of
too.
amazing, you know,
Yeah, yeah. It's a never-ending process, I think.
to face that and unpack that. It's like, wow, I did it again.
Oh,
How did that happen? How did that
yeah.
happen? You know?
Mhm. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
want to see the best in others, don't you? You know,
Yes, that is like my go-to. I want to see the best in others. I want to support people, you know. I enjoy being the cheerleader for people's endeavors, you know, because I believe we're all here to create formless into form, and that whole process, that, you know, the witnessing of it, the facilitating of it, and the enjoying of it, you know, I'm into it. I like it. Like
same. I
it.
want to encourage everybody to do their best and be their best and reach their full
Yes.
potential, because the more of us that do that, the better, you know, the better the world's going to be, the more good energy is coming through. And yeah, like going back to a dream I had, I can share, I had this dream around 2020, and it was where there was a whole heap of individuals who were all doing the work in this sense, from all around the world. We were all scattered in different locations, and we started to connect like you and I are now, and
Mhm.
like many of us have. And through those connections, we were kind of igniting dormant parts of ourselves. Like we'd already done our own inner work, but there was a certain ignition that came from those connections, and some of them were meeting in person, and it would like spark this energy up. And as I was shown this, I was shown all this like light energy going into the earth's kind of meridians, into the grids.
Ooh,
And
okay.
then that would go into, I was shown like the core of the earth, or you know, like this, Sethicus Boza calls it the planetary Templar, you know. So it's this
Yes.
overall monad energy of the earth. All this energy went into that, and then I was shown it like the 12 houses of astrology, or the, you know, the 12 seasons, the 12 months, sorry, like a disc. And it began, and there was people from all different races and tribes and everything on different points, and they were all
Mm,
active. And through that activation, it lit up this whole big wheel that was the planetary Templar. It began to spin, and all this
wow.
energy started to come out, like chi energy. And it was just like this heightened energy. And I just watched that spread all over the earth. And it was just this really profound
Sweet.
of like, wow, you know, that we all count in the work we do. And when
Yes.
it comes together, it's so powerful. And I think that's why this division is going on so much, because they
Hmm.
want to stop that. They want to, you
Yeah.
know, divide us all against each other because of ideologies like you're this, you're that, whatever, you know, and
Yeah.
it's bullshit.
Exactly. Exactly. Some want to
Yeah,
call it prana, some want to call it light, some want to call it. So let's go to war with each other over that.
yeah,
That's
just
the
some
kind
silly.
of shit that pisses me off. It's like, can we just all get along? Why are we doing this? And just
Exactly.
that persnickety, nitpicky bullshit that
I agree.
it just detracts from everything that we are endeavoring to collaborate on, you know?
Yeah,
I don't want us to all agree on stuff, you know? I
you don't
don't.
have to. Yeah,
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 it's absurd. It's absurd. But
yeah. A level of
that
spiritual maturity would be to agree to disagree, you know.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And
And
still be capable of
mhm,
collaborating for a common vision, for a common goal, you know?
exactly. we all have that underlining goal, which is based on integrity and natural law and higher values of that we want to create a society where everybody's able to live their best lives and not be harmed and, you know, just have cohesion and balance back, not all this dysregulation and the way things are structured now. It's parasitic. It's sick.
It's very parasitic.
And there's a solution to every single one of these issues that we have. Like I did a healing for a guy the other day. He came in, and amazing man. He was 77, and he started telling me about how he's working with this guy called Malcolm, who's got this device called the thunderstorm generator, which is a plasma tech that's like conscious plasma lightning, going back to the orbs. It's like this, and they're generating kind of 0 point energy off this plasma tech that only needs like fossil fuels to start it over, and then once it goes, it's perpetual. And he also transmute things, so there's this alchemical aspect to it, where instead of fossil fuels coming out as hydrocarbons, they come out as clean oxygen. And same with radiation, it can clean that up. He said it's all based on the Egyptian divine cubit mathematical system and astrology and all that type of thing. That this scientist kind of went back to the ancient gnosis and used that as a way to develop this technology. And what's exciting is it's open source, and it's just been launched in India, and they're mass producing it in India right now. So
whoa, cool.
They've had death threats, and they've tried to shut it down, like so many other things like this that get stopped. I have a good feeling about this one. The way this man was telling me that, you know, this is already cat's out of the bag with this one. So yeah, that's one major solution. You know, if we have a clean, free source of energy, you know, we're not enslaved in the same way we are now with
exactly,
power bills and fuel and all this stuff that keeps people locked down in their slave jobs. And how much more free time would we have to study the things we love and be with our families and friends and garden and be in nature and, you know, live our best lives instead of being
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And isn't that what we want? I mean, this is like, it's such an organic, true way of being, other than this artificially imposed, you know, and we all make the best of it.
Of course.
You know, we all make the best of it. However, you know, there is another way, I think, you know, and it's a matter of, so I think the way we contribute is we contribute by being true to ourselves. And you know, that primary first relationship with ourselves and our true natures, and to be able to cultivate and nurture that, nourish that, as opposed to succumbing to, you know, the sort of survival mechanisms that the Matrix just seems to want to just, you know, hammer into us. That's the way it is. No, that isn't the way it is. You know,
there's way more to this. Exactly. We have so much great potential to create like a beautiful, amazing world if these options were opened up for us. And we could be more aligned with the natural environment. And time is so precious. You know, we spend all our lives just working for money, and it's just all an illusion, really. It's ridiculous. There's so many other things that matter. And I'm really fortunate. Like, I lived a lot of my life, you know, traveling and living on a shoestring like a gypsy, and just kind of hustling around doing different things, whether it was tarot readings or, you know, macrame necklaces or teaching yoga classes or doing massages or whatever it was. So I could just live this free way, and I'd still work, but I wasn't enslaved. And I really haven't done much 9 to 5 in my life. And I'm so grateful for that, to have that time to read books and go out into beautiful places in nature and be with incredible people and spend time, and just all these other things you can do apart from be a slave.
And not compromise yourself, you know. What are some of the things that you're working on right now? Tell us about your work, your trauma work. We've had conversations about that.
So currently I'm working as an art therapist, but under that umbrella, I also work with people doing kinesiology. I'll do one-on-one yoga and breath work and stuff like that as well. Also, working with herbalism, working with healing the gut, and, you know, just getting rid of the main sources of disease, which is either, you know, toxicity or, you know, like deficiency. So working with that with people, and you know, somatic release, de-armoring the body, all that kind of thing. I also teach yoga. My friend and I have been working on this book for a few years. Since it started.
What's the book?
It's called Time Wars because my friend is an avid Star Wars fan. So, but it's quite a kooky fictional tale about these two characters and time travel and like what's going on in the world right now and how they can do their part in shifting things, basically. So, yeah, it's a very interesting story. My friend has written the majority of it. I've put chapters in there and added bits, but I did all the illustrations. So a lot of the
Oh,
artwork,
it's illustrated.
yeah, it's illustrated. So a lot of the art I do is connected to that. So yeah, it should be coming out soon. He said he's finalizing the last few chapters. So yeah, that's quite exciting.
That's exciting. Ooh, I
Yeah,
want one. I'll
yeah, I'll
buy
definitely send you a copy when it's ready to go.
one.
Yeah. It's a bit of a zany read, but it's fun. It's kind of targeted at the younger generation because
Mhm.
I feel like they're so important that we need to plant seeds for these kids because
Yes,
they're
we
just getting
do.
so much crap, and it's so sad, you look at the entertainment for young people now and it's just so deranged. It's just
It
so much
really
programming.
is.
Yeah. So this story, was planting those seeds of truth and self-empowerment and the hero's journey and all that stuff, doing your own shadow work, having your dark night of the soul, having to rise up out of that and,
Yeah.
become your own hero in a sense. So yeah, it's exciting. And yeah, as an artist, I love just working on my own creative process, and I encourage that with my clients as too, that creativity isn't just doing painting or drawing. There's so many different expressions of that, whether you're a musician or you're a dancer or you do gardening or singing or toning or mantra, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
art therapy is very vast and everybody's got their niche. Like everyone's got a creative spark within them. And I think it's really important to ignite that and find that for yourself, because when you're in that state, you're in more of a meditative, calm state of consciousness, and that's
Hmm.
really healing the
Yeah.
parasympathetic nervous system. And
Yeah.
we're all in fight or flight all the time with the way the society is structured and
Yeah.
all fear and everything, So yeah, we want to get back into that ventricle vagal kind of place and heal the body. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What are your go-tos in terms of the stress? Um
Mhm.
it- just I know we talked about the breath work. But I know that I know so many people where they're just the amplification and the frenetic energy of the nervous system, where the baseline for stress should be here and it is here, and that's normal.
Yeah.
What would you suggest, like, for somebody who's out there who is just finding just everything in the matrix just so exasperating, between traffic and between having to do things you don't really want to do, which is unfortunately the majority of a lot of people in the world, is that they haven't figured out what their passions are. uh, but they're searching, they're searching my channel, they're searching, wherever you are. And what would be your what would you suggest in terms of, kind of getting started?
Yeah, I think having your own internal practice of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
which resonates and that you have a passion around, and
Mm-hmm.
finding what that passion is
Mm-hmm.
and taking that little bit of time out, even if it's only 15 minutes a day, to just kind of
Yes.
really focus with that and be connected with it. And it might be learning something new, or that can be stressful to start with, but once you get in the groove of it, it can be really rewarding. But yeah, also like to physically remove trauma, things like trauma release therapy are really, really great. Getting some body work if you can afford it, getting somebody that can work with energy systems and stuff like that and rebalance your body in different ways. Yeah, and also nature. I just think it's really important. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that's difficult for some people too, because they're in a city or something, but even if you can just go to the park, take your shoes off and sit under a tree for a bit
Yes.
and just take some time in stillness and silence with yourself and really start to go in and figure out what your real needs are on the higher self level. Like, what do you need to do to make your life a little bit easier or more fulfilling in a sense? And in saying easier, that's a challenge in itself to regulate, but it's
Yes.
small steps. And the more you work on it, it's like chipping away. One day you'll just notice you're doing something and you're so present with it and you're so connected, and that's so enriching to
Yeah.
be in that state
Yeah.
of consciousness. Like I find that with my art, when get into that state where I'm just really enjoying it and I have that space and time to do it, it's just so fulfilling. And there's something about, like, I think, you know, self-validation through those processes too, of knowing yourself in a proper way.
Yes.
Through all the
Yes.
ideas and projections of who you are. Like, I'm a mother, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a this, I'm a that, you know, I'm a middle-class white man, or whatever it is, you know,
Yes.
that you're really getting to know who you are on a deeper level through those different processes. And that stillness and that silence in nature. Yeah. And you're never really in silence, because you're going to hear birds, or you're going to start to interface more with the natural environment. You might start connecting with the local birds in your area, or see an animal or something like that, where there's just something so healing about that, I feel. Yeah. Yeah. To have that grounding with nature.
Yeah. Nature is important. It's important to me. The latest interfacings with nature is a mama bear with 2 cubs.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
So, and you know, some of the neighbors don't understand. We are in their territory. We're on the foothills here, you know, at, you know, just almost 3,000 meters, you know. And we're in their territory, and people are like, "Well, shoot the bears." It's like, no, no. How about you take your garbage and you lock it up? Lock it up somewhere where it's not a temptation for them, you know. And so there is this sort of I think adjustment that we need to do when we are in nature, living in nature as a human being, and there are other critters here that you know, are, you know, and I'm not one of those people where I have respect for a bear. I'm not going to try to make friends with it,
Exactly.
no
Yeah.
matter how much I love it. You know, nice bear. You know, it's like the bobcat that was had invaded my deck and decided to use my chaise lounge as its little as its kitty bed. And but some people were like going, "Well, why don't you try and feed it?" I'm going, no. It's a giant cat. It's gonna hurt me. You know, I'm not gonna go up to it and go, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." It's not.
Yeah.
It's
You've
not
got to
gonna
have
happen.
respect, and
Yes,
boundaries with animals. But
you
also,
have
if you
to have respect.
fear, you know, that there's a lot of a better relationship, because animals can feel that. I lived in a hut in the rainforest up in northern New South Wales, part of Australia, more subtropical area. And I was in the shack, and the front part of it was just open to the rainforest. And I used to get big pythons coming in that are about 6 foot long.
Oh yeah, you don't mess with those.
No, and goannas, we have these things called goannas, which are these giant lizards that are also about 6 foot long. And yeah, one time I came home from work, and I look at my bed, and there's a brown snake, which is a very venomous snake, just curled up on my pillow, just quite happy there. And I kind of just, in a way, telepathic way, just kind of looked at it and said, you know, that's my territory, you know, you can smell my energy there, kind of thing. And it kind of went, oh yeah. And it got up and slithered off. And I just thought, wow, okay.
Yes.
But yeah, there was a respect. There was, no, we can coexist with these creatures if we're respectful. When you start to project fear and you want to hurt them, that they're going to retaliate, of course.
Yeah, of course they are. They know. They feel that. They feel that. So yeah, I've had a lot of snakes in the house, and you know, I know what they're like. And so if they're not venomous, I just pick them up and I just take them outside. But the venomous ones, you know, I do have my little scooper, which is good. But you know, sometimes I just let it go and they find their way out.
Yeah.
Wow. Especially if I'm too tired, and it's like, okay, what is that? I'm too tired. It's like, okay, I'm just going to create a perimeter around me, you go somewhere else. And so, you know, so far so good. So these are things that and this is part of, I think, to being tuned in to our environment, having the self-awareness, knowing where you are, who you are, why you are, because then you can tell the difference of what is around you that you need to be aware of, you know. and to just
Yeah.
take it from there, not to just be, a lot of some of the new age fluffy stuff is like, just make friends with it. It's like, no,
Not those type of
not on your
But like
life.
any
No.
messages as well, like on a more shamanic level, there is that
Yes.
stuff where there is a medicine that comes with certain animals. And I know when I went through a lot of death and grief in my life, and there was a lot of people around me that were very close dying, I saw owls constantly. I had this interface with owls where I had one living outside my bedroom window, and it would peek its head down and look at me, and I'd find its feather the next day, or I'd go for a drive, a country road, and at night, and there'd be an owl just on the middle of the road. I'd stop my car, get out, and we'd just look at each other for ages, just like, hey. I ended up going to Egypt, and I was sitting on the balcony, looking out over the Giza Plateau at the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx and everything, talking to this couple from Florida. And we were talking about the birds because they'd just been in Easter Island, and they were saying there was this connection with people following the birds to get there. And the next thing you know, this big white owl, like massive white barn owl, just comes and flies in front of us. It's just hovering there.
Wow, cool.
Seconds, maybe 10, 20 seconds. We're all just looking at each other like, wow. And then it just flew off directly towards the Sphinx. And it was just one of those incredible experiences you have with animals where you just go, wow, that was really special. It was something more to that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
These are
Very
these magical moments because I've had those, and I think it's because we're tuned in. We're tuned in, and they can feel us. And I think they do want to be seen.
Yeah,
They do want to be seen and acknowledged. Like, hey, here's a human who can see me and feel me and won't want to harm me.
Yeah.
I mean, what a gift.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool, Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying about how people can like attune themselves more, like, yeah, the more you become more authentic on your own path of who you really are. And sometimes that takes a lot of sacrifice. Like we have to certain things that aren't good for us, or certain lifestyles, or I know for some people it's really difficult because they might have kids and a mortgage and everything, but you can still find ways to kind of become more aligned with your higher self as you get to know who your higher self is, in a sense, or your divine authentic self. And then through that process, I find this is what occurred for me through my life. The more I was on that path, the more synchronicity would open up, the more just incredible experiences like that, like we just spoke about, would happen. And it just feels like confirmations and there's something just so enriching about having those type of experiences that reminds you of that higher force at play, that higher energy that we're all inherently part of, in a sense. And that's very healing in itself. Because it's so easy to get stuck in the drudgery and the depression and the anxiety of the modern world. We have to be reminded that there's something higher, and we all have the potentiality and the capability if we're in alignment to connect in with that.
Yeah. I totally agree, because it is part of the magic. It's part of the magic of the intersecting realms that are supposedly all intersecting at the same time. So I always bear that in mind. So when I have an inkling, like, we were talking about the orbs, I have a relationship with the orbs that is on a daily basis, every night, every morning, and even during the day, I know they're around. And if I utilize a different way of vision, not just with these eyes, but opening my third eye and really just tuning out the visual noise. There they are. They're always there. And I just love them so much because they are an integral part of my life, my universe, my layer of reality that really keeps me, I think, keeps me tuned in and keeps me reminded that a lot of the outer reality, particularly, when I think in terms of the Matrix world and just all the various shit shows, okay, that's out there. What's going on in my immediate environment? And there they are, and so a lot of it, prana, light, these
Exactly.
light balls, these beings, these orbs, the iridescence, the life force, the movement, even the switch in colors and the different sizes. I mean, I
Yeah.
just am like, as a child, they really were my connection to life and love and,
Beautiful.
the truth and beauty of this planet. Not the
Yeah.
Matrix, this planet.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I love that you've had that experience too. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I even sometimes think maybe it's just part of us, like on a higher
Mm-hmm.
level of consciousness, like it's that reflection on that energetic level. Yeah, like sometimes I'm teaching my yoga class, especially the more relaxing yin one. And yeah, I'll see so much color, because it's really going into that brainwave state. And yeah, I'm able to see it all floating around the room. Sometimes I go to check the clock to see how far into the class I am, and I literally actually can't see it because there's too much color in front.
Yes.
And then when they go away, I can see clearly. So there's nothing wrong with my vision.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just incredible how this comes in and out sometimes. I remember saying to my mum when I was a little girl, is there something wrong with my eyes? I can see all these colors everywhere. And she said, oh, no, that's totally normal. And I was like, oh, okay, everyone can see that, right?
Yay! Yay. Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of being threatened that you're going to get locked up if you keep
Yeah,
talking to
exactly.
them.
Yeah, it
that
depends
was
who you talk
that was
to.
my experience, because I would talk to them, and then I learned, oh, I don't have to say a word. We can have this
Yeah.
telepathic communication, and it's the same thing. So, I just started zipping it, which is a lot of what I do. In a lot of different environments, to just be discerning about
Yeah.
how I say things, where I say things, and all that kind of stuff. And of course, with YouTube, I just say it all. I don't care.
And
At
it will
this
go to the
point,
right people. Yeah,
yes.
those that want to watch it will find it, and those that don't, they can turn it off.
Yeah,
That's the beauty
exactly.
of it.
Just
Yeah,
switch off, go somewhere else,
yeah. But I think the more you have that discernment and start to, know when to open up, you do begin to attract more people into your life that are resonant in that way.
Yes.
And you can have that authentic conversation about these things and be able to share and validate different parts of that awakening process and the different levels and layers to that, opposed to somebody that's completely shut down. Like, you're still going to encounter those people, of course, but I find they're less and less into my life. And even with my clients that are coming, I'm getting more clients like the guy the other day with the free energy, just incredible people that are magnetised in. And yeah, it's really beautiful to have those relationships and those confirmations. Yeah.
Beautiful. I am absolutely fascinated by the artwork behind you.
It's pretty cool. Hey?
That is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Is that one of
yeah.
yours?
No, this is something I found on some random website. It's just a really cool print on a sheet of I think it's the Yggdrasil. It's a world tree kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was so beautiful. So yeah.
It's really beautiful. Wow.
Colors. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That is it reminds me a little bit of one of my trips to Mongolia. There are these trees, and I've seen them in China. I don't remember what they're called, but they're similar and they're vast, and they have these orange red leaves. They're just brilliant, and a wind will come through and it'll just snow these red leaves. It's just, they're messy. They're really, really messy, but they're just so, so beautiful. And I was just like, being transported here, Yeah.
Mongolia.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is a
amazing.
really cool piece,
I love that you've had some amazing travels as well. You've also been on that journey.
Yeah. I
feel
really, really, really blessed, and to have had those opportunities, and then to have them later on corroborated with, some of my astrocartography readings. I mean, I'm just like floored, floored. The reading that I had with Sethicus was just amazing. you know, the blood codes, because all the places I've been to, all those places doing grid work, you know, all the travel places where we've gone, where we've been, where we've spent time, where we've lived. So you doing all of your grid work in India and also in Egypt and all these amazing places where you've had these poignant experiences, like that experience with the white owl talking to the
Mm.
people from Florida. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's so
That's
incredible.
just cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there was another time I was flying from Cairo to Luxor, and in the plane, my friend and I were in the plane together, and we looked out the window, and there was a literal pyramid in the sky, in the clouds, and we both saw it. We're both like, wow, there's pyramids everywhere in Egypt, even in the sky, you know, and yeah, just having these incredible experiences there. Because when I was there, it was around the time, I think it was 2016, there'd been a lot of like turmoil, and there was ISIS and all that stuff going on then, and
Right.
nobody was going to Egypt. Myself and that couple from Florida and a few ladies I met from South Africa were the only travelers I met in Egypt at that time. So I had all these amazing places pretty much to myself, you know, going to the Valley of
Wow.
or Saqqara, all these, you know, mind-boggling, incredible places that are remnants of,
Wow.
you know,
That's
a
really
distant
cool.
past. Yeah, to go to Kemet in that way. And yeah, I had a lot of like past life memories, and yeah, it was quite surreal to have that experience. Yeah, very, very fortunate to be in those type of environments.
Yeah.
I also got to go out to Uluru here in Central Australia and spend some time with the Indigenous people out there, the Pitjantjatjara people, because my friends were working on a community, and I went out and did some art therapy with them. And because they'd been living there for 2 years, they were very close with the local people. So I just got taken in straight away and looked after, and got to go out with the women and do different ceremonial stuff and go on
Oh,
native
wow.
plants. And yeah, it was
Cool.
just incredible. I remember sitting once and witnessing a ceremony that was going on, which was like initiation for the children with the elders, you know, and they were bringing the children into their rites of passage. And I was just sitting back, like from far away on a bonnet of a car, just kind of watching like an outsider. But I just thought, I am so privileged to witness this. This isn't like some stage performance thing. This is like
Yes.
a ceremony, and still out there, they speak their own language, you know, that's they don't, many people don't speak English out there, you know, it's a very, yeah, sacred, incredible place. So yeah, been very, very fortunate to have these type of experiences, and once again, just have synchronicity, just right place at the right time, being in alignment with something and just ending up there while that's happening.
Mhm.
Yeah, many experiences like that, which is
Beautiful. So
beautiful. Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yay. How are you doing as far as your energy, sweetheart? I'm looking at the time. It's like it's what it's 8:20 my time. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good, but I'm happy to finish whenever you're ready to. So yeah, either way's fine. No
Well,
worries. Yeah.
let's talk about you know, what are you leaning into these days? You know, as far as your work, I know you mentioned the book that's getting ready to um to launch, so to speak. How
Mhm.
fun. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of that, I think I want to, yeah, just continue to, yeah, further my progress with my own internal healing, and then being able to facilitate that for others in a sense. Yeah, I like a simple life as well. I really enjoy having my garden and just being able to grow fruit and vegetables, and, you know, have my fresh herbs, and play around with the alchemy that is herbalism and all that type of stuff. Yeah, just continue to connect with an incredible network of people, and bring this higher energy into the planet. You know, I just feel that's so
yes.
important right now. We're just in such a like important integral time, like almost like a kind of crossroads or something. It just feels like,
Yes.
yeah, we really need to kind of just step up and be the best people we can be. And yeah, that's a journey. You know, I've had a lot of challenges recently, a lot of shadow work shit coming up, and triggers and all that stuff. You know, it's like you can get to a certain level, but then there's more. So yeah, I'm working through
Yes.
all that.
It doesn't end. It really
Yeah.
doesn't. And it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us or that we're doing it wrong. You
Yeah.
know, and I think because we are in such a shame-based society, that if we do have challenges, or that they continue, or, it seems like it's one thing after another, that there's something wrong with you. I really don't like that. I don't like that paradigm. I don't like that attitude. I think it's very destructive. It's very shame inducing. It's like, yeah, give it a rest, kids,
Yeah.
and I do get that sometimes, we need to like take a break from processing, but
Mm.
at the same time, if there's things to process, it's like best to be on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'd rather
Yeah.
be on that train of processing than, brushing it under the carpet and pretending it's not happening,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And these challenges can forge us and they can self-actualize us into, more mature kind of whole individual if we allow it to,
Yes.
over time, and we can
Yeah.
have better retrospect and have, a better ability to work with others with, that empathy to see other people's experiences and have a point of reference. And it's all very valid. But yeah, in terms of projects, I want to just keep creating creatively. That I've got different, creative projects I want to do, whether it's more writing or art, or even toying with a little bit of music. I'm going to Indonesia, into Bali in about a month, so I'm quite excited to
Sweet.
get out of the country for a little bit and just a new grid work of consciousness in terms of,
Sweet.
latitude and longitude.
Yes.
So good,
Yes.
Yeah,
Bali
yeah.
is very lovely place. I mean,
Mm,
yeah, I've done some intense grid work there. Really, it was actually a destination for a lot of retreats for me back in the day, when I had a friend who had a property there, and she would host us, and so that was like really, really great to have. And she has since passed on to non-physical, but at the same time, the land itself, the people, just
very vibrant.
fantastic, just
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
good, good
yeah,
for you.
Victoria, like the southern part of Australia, and we've had a lot of heavy energy here. I feel like it's a very powerful place where I am, and
Hmm.
hence why during the COVID scenario, like we were one of the strictest places in the world in terms of the
Mm.
lockdowns and the treatment of the people. And yeah, there's a very heavy energy here. I've also heard there's a small mini hadron collider here in Melbourne, which is similar to what they have in Switzerland in terms of CERN. I saw some weird phenomena a few months ago. I was watching with my partner, and we were on a veranda and at a friend's place, and we were looking out over these mountains, which are called the Dandenong Ranges, which are, very prominent hills near Melbourne. And there was this orange ball lightning, like it was like big pillars of this orange, like the
Holy
orange.
shit.
And it was just like going on and on for hours on end. It may be 4 or 5 hours we were watching it. And it was just contained to one area over this place called Sugarloaf, which is, there's supposed to be a military base there that I've heard about. Like, it's not a known military base, but I've heard from Indigenous people that there's something there. And like we just kept watching it going, is this for real?
Wow.
We didn't film it. I don't know why, but we were just kind of so in shock and awe. But it didn't feel like the greatest energy,
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, this is amazing, like other things I've seen that felt really full power. This was quite strange. So yeah, it would be good to get out of this area for a little bit and just get
Yeah.
some.
To have a little bit of a break,
Exactly. Yeah.
and a bit of a reset. How can people get in touch with you, sweetheart?
I'll send you, I've got a link tree.
Okay,
So
cool. All right. We'll have
okay, if I
all,
just send you that and you can pop
yeah.
that
All right.
in the notes.
Okay. We'll
And yeah,
have
that's
all
got a
of,
link to my art page and all that, which is the
nice.
main thing I'm working on. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Cool.
My
That's
email and
awesome.
everything.
Yay.
Yeah.
I
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, love. This has been
Yeah, it's great to
lovely.
talk to you. Yeah,
Yeah, and we'll do it again. We'll do it again. And
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, speak more, because I feel like we were just scratching the
Yeah,
surface.
there's so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Different tangents we can go on, and yeah, it's all
I love
valid.
it.
So
I love it.
I love it too. Yeah, it's
I
been an
love it.
honor and a pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much,
Yay.
Maria.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're so very welcome. So, all
Yeah.
right, my loves, that is it for today. And until next time, be good to yourselves Here is to love, truth, and beauty, my divine ones. Mwah. Ciao for now, Bellas. Ciao for now.